Have you ever pressed print and wondered how a machine can turn something on a screen into a real image on paper? 1 second it's digital, and the next, a printer is sliding out a page covered in text, photos, or colorful graphics. It feels normal now, but what's happening inside an inkjet printer is actually pretty incredible. So today we're diving into a simple question with a surprisingly interesting answer. How do inkjet printers actually work? Because inside that plastic box, tiny droplets of ink are being fired onto paper thousands of times every second with insane precision, right here on History of Simple Things. The idea of spraying ink onto paper actually goes back decades. Early concepts appeared in the 1950s, but those machines were mostly industrial and far too expensive for ordinary people. The first real breakthroughs for home and office use happened during the late 1970s and 1980s, when companies like Canon, Hewlett-Packard, and Epson developed practical inkjet systems. Before inkjets became common, many people used dot matrix printers. Those machines physically struck an ink ribbon against paper, making noisy prints that looked rough and pixelated. Laser printers later offered excellent quality, but they were expensive at first. Inkjet printers became popular because they were smaller, quieter, and much better at printing color images. By the 1990s, they had become one of the most common household printers in the world. Suddenly, people could print photos, school projects, and colorful documents at home without needing professional equipment. At its core, an inkjet printer works by placing extremely tiny drops of liquid ink onto paper in very specific locations. That's it. But doing this accurately is much harder than it sounds. When you print something, your computer first converts the image or text into digital instructions. The printer then reads those instructions and decides exactly where each droplet of ink needs to go. Inside the printer is a moving component called the printhead. This is the part that travels back and forth across the page while spraying ink. The printhead contains dozens or sometimes hundreds of microscopic nozzles. Each nozzle can release tiny droplets on command. As the paper slowly moves through the printhead continues spraying line after line until the full image is complete. Think of it almost like painting with thousands of microscopic spray cans at extremely high speed. Not all inkjet printers spray ink the same way. Most consumer printers use one of two main technologies, thermal inkjet or piezoelectric inkjet. Thermal inkjet printers, commonly used by companies like Hewlett-Packard and Canon, use heat to force ink out of the nozzle. Tiny resistors rapidly heat the ink, creating a small vapor bubble. That bubble expands and pushes a droplet out onto the paper. Once the bubble collapses, more ink flows into place, ready for the next droplet. This entire process happens thousands of times every second. Piezoelectric printers, often associated with Epson, work differently. Instead of heat, they use a special crystal material that changes shape when electricity is applied. The crystal flexes inward, squeezing the ink chamber and forcing a droplet out. Both systems work well, but piezoelectric printers can sometimes offer finer control over droplet size because they don't rely on boiling the ink. Most inkjet printers don't actually use dozens of colors. Instead, they rely on a small set of ink cartridges, usually cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, also known as CMYK. By combining tiny dots of these colors in different patterns, The printer tricks your eyes into seeing millions of shades. It's similar to how phone and TV screens mix red, green, and blue light to create different colors. For example, placing tiny cyan and yellow dots close together can appear green from a normal viewing distance. The printer carefully controls droplet size, spacing, and layering to create smooth gradients and realistic images. Modern photo printers can use additional inks like light cyan, light magenta, or gray to improve photo quality and reduce graininess. One thing many people never think about is how ink dries so quickly. After all, printers are spraying liquid onto paper. The answer involves both the ink and the paper itself. Printer ink is specially formulated to dry fast. Some inks soak into the paper fibers while others partially evaporate. Many papers are also coated to absorb ink evenly without letting it spread too much. The printer also controls how much ink is applied. Too little would look faded, while too much could cause smudging or wrinkled paper. That balance is surprisingly difficult to achieve. Inkjet printers may seem boring compared to modern gadgets, but they're actually packed with precision engineering. Inside that plastic box is a machine capable of firing microscopic droplets with incredible timing and accuracy. Some nozzles can produce droplets smaller than 10 picoliters. That's such a tiny amount that millions of droplets together would barely fill a teaspoon. And despite all that complexity, most people only notice their printer when it runs out of ink at the worst possible moment. Still, the next time you hear that familiar buzzing sound and see a blank page slowly turn into a colorful image, remember what's really happening. Thousands of microscopic bursts of ink, carefully controlled at high speed, turning digital information into something you can actually hold in your hands. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.